Okay, so we had a couple days off there of from Phish, a couple days of football, and now we're back at it. You know, we got a break here until fall tour, celebrating 40 years, the 40-year anniversary coming up. So I thought I would do a few videos here focusing on a specific year. Today we're going to go 2000. You know, they started that year coming off of the Big Cypress show. Big gap really until they then they did some radio shows, some studio stuff, you know, maybe like a Letterman appearance or something, Radio City Music Hall, a lot of gigs there. Then they did, I guess, the Tonight Show later on. Got a Burbank gig in there. That was just the Tonight Show, I suppose. So then Letterman recently uploaded the Chalk Dust. I don't know if that was from 2000 or not though. So anyways, then they get down to Japan there, starting out in 2000. The shows, you know, the nice run of shows, past whatever was going on there in May. And then the last part of the Japan run really took off. You got one show immortalized by the live Phish releases, obviously. June 9th, another really good one. I believe that one was in Tokyo. So the last few shows, it really got hot, and then that carried over to once they got to the United States, Homedale, New Jersey. You had two big nights there. One of the nights had a gin, June 28th, the Bathtub Gin and the Taste from that show. Perhaps the two best songs of the summer, two of my favorite songs from that summer. Not that I've heard everything from 2000, so I shouldn't even make that claim. The next night had a big Limb by Limb in the first set. Big thanks to Phish.net for a lot of this information too. What a great source they were. And we did get a 4th of July, that show at the E-Center, New Jersey once again. That one had a great second set, you know. The 29th had a great first set, and then we move on to July 11th, Deer Creek, 2001, which seemed like one of the songs of the year. Drowned, Taste, 2001. Even got a jammed out Mango song or two back in 2000. Then Polaris, that was the year. Not that that was a great show, but it had like the kind of apocalyptic crowd, had a little bit of a weather delay that night. And then the next night at Polaris, that's when the tour ends. So I'd say the New Jersey at the front end of this, not a very long tour either, you know. I guess if you counted Japan as part of summer tour, it extended a little bit longer. But wrapping up summer tour here in Ohio, the 14th, much better than the 15th, I suppose, in my opinion. So then we get into fall tour. Fall tour, not great. 9/11/2000, they were in Mansfield, Massachusetts, just a year later. Luckily, they had nothing scheduled in 2001. Who knows what would have happened. We know all about postponed and canceled shows now, though, don't we? So then obviously, September 14th, 2000, another show that became an official live Phish release. Back in the days, that had the Drowned, one of many big drowns that summer and even fall. September 17th at MPP. Talked about recently how they occasionally tease Gordon Lightfoot. That was one of the times in Bathtub Gin. Something going on there with Bathtub Gin, because 90% of the time, they've teased it maybe 10 times. 9 out of those 10, it seems like it's been Bathtub Gin. The 20th of September, there was a big It's Ice. That was a Riverbend show that I was at again. Still not fully into the band, although I was getting closer there, you know. This, and then leading into the hiatus, having known what they did at Big Cypress. I still don't think I had even heard much of Big Cypress at this point. Maybe I had. I don't know. Almost a year later. Then they get into Vegas, the infamous Kid Rock run in Vegas. Joe C gets a shout out. There was a really cool Esther there. That's when they announced the hiatus. The hiatus that's going to be beginning in a few days. Probably smart that they held off to the very last minute, really. Maybe not the very last minute, but the last week to announce the hiatus. Maybe to cut down on some of the frenzy. By the time they got to Shoreline, the show's really a little bit lackluster leading up to Shoreline. But then on the 7th, another one that's been officially released. I would say probably the sound quality on that one, not real good though, even with being an official release. You know, I think everybody was just worn out by that point, even the people recording the shows. So that was some of the best stuff of 2000. I know I kind of ran through that really quickly, but, you know, there's a reason they were headed into hiatus. Big Cypress was just such a high. 2000, a bit of a come down, although it had some great stuff, you know. Couple shows in Japan, few shows in New Jersey, that Deer Creek show, Darien Lake, obviously, that Merriweather show. That's one I do want to listen to in its entirety, actually, the Merriweather. And although the sound quality's not real good, unlike Re-Listen or even From the Aquarium. Now, some of this you can find even on the Farchive here on YouTube. Maybe I'll throw some links down below. Some good video from that year, actually. Well, okay video. You know, it ain't HD like we get now, but... You know, the Vegas run was fun, I suppose. But they had just about had it by then. I was reading something recently where I hadn't read something, but I read where someone had read that in between like Chula Vista and Shoreline, the band never even got a chance to sleep. Yeah, well, they pulled through the 2001 from that Shoreline show. I listened to quite a bit of it today after the Browns' victory. Yes! Yes! Hope that doesn't end up at the thumbnail with those creepy eyes. What about this? A little better eyes. That's how I felt about the Japanese. No, that was not. I about said that's how I felt about the Japanese run, but I just meant like, yeah, kind of how I felt about the Browns' win today, not the eye thing. About stumbled into something awful there. All right, so 4th of July, huh? All right. I don't know what was going on in May in New York. I wonder how early they knew. I guess I could look that up and find that info. All right, so we're celebrating 40 years of the P-Fish. This was the year 2000. Highlighted in New Jersey, of all places. Camden even had a great show. The E Center. Slave to the Traffic Light from that show. Second set. Boom. That's one you should probably check out. Check that out. I'll check out the MPP show for you, and maybe even listen to that lame Riverbend show that I attended on September 20th. You know, while the previous year at Polaris had or no, take that back. Polaris had the Apocalypse Cloud that year. I went the previous year at Polaris. I was not the Cloud. This year I went to the Riverbend show, and it had still rained, though. It was still like kind of a messy, just kind of like a rainy mess, I believe. I don't know. I just remember the field being kind of muddy and wet. Unless I'm confusing that, and that was somehow Polaris. I don't know. It rains a lot here in Ohio. Boom.